Welcome back to the King's Corner, the place for all things Bethesda. I am the KingFanMan, and if you love Bethesda and haven't subscribed yet, why not? Do it now! As Todd Howard was introducing Fallout 76 at E3, he began by talking about the new graphics and then the weather systems. Now, maybe some wouldn't consider the weather an important feature in the game, but most of us understand and realize how much immersion a good weather system can give you in a game. Fallout 4's weather was much improved over past Fallout games, and even over Skyrim's weather system. With its rad storms and the drastic difference of the glowing sea, Bethesda did an excellent job of not only bringing a deeper level of immersion, but they also made Boston feel much more dangerous and more apocalyptic. So obviously the engine has been enhanced again. By the way, now this is for free, but listen, with Starfield and The Elder Scrolls 6 both being on a new engine, Starfield being in full production and The Elder Scrolls in pre-production, it is clear that the guys and gals at Bethesda Game Studios now have a great knowledge of a much more advanced engine. So I'm sure that that has helped them advance the old system greatly for Fallout 76. It must have, since it has 16 times the detail of Fallout 4. That is a great leap in technology. Okay, back to the subject at hand. Now, the map of Fallout 76 has 6 areas. Now, remember these because we're going to come back to them when we start talking about the distinct weather systems. These 6 areas are the forest, the ash heap, the toxic valley, the savage divide, the mire, and the cranberry bog. Now, all of these have distinct ecosystems, and each of these systems, the weather acts and reacts differently. And being able to see across the whole map, how cool will this be to be able to see a distant rad storm or a weather system reacting to an ecosystem differently in one section than it is in the one that you're at, or maybe even seeing 2 different systems beyond where you're at. That sounds so incredible, and I can't wait to see that. Now, this is where it gets really cool. During the documentary of the making of Fallout 76, there was a quick scene where they were talking to one of the developers, and his computer was running on his desk. And if you pause it, you can see on his computer a list of the weather systems in Fallout 76. There are some that seem to be kind of similar to those that we saw in Fallout 4, but some of them are very, very different. Now, it's a long list. There are 29 that are listed on the screen. Some of them repeat, so we won't go over them, but we're going to go over a list of 17, okay? Now, some of these are pretty self-explanatory, but we will talk briefly about each. Now, the first one on the list is called Clear Valley Fog, and that kind of makes me think back to that area on the map called Toxic Valley, and I think of fog just holding in the valley, a thick, dense fog in the valley that's full of radiation. Kind of like Far Harbor, but even thicker and denser. Well, what causes a valley fog? Well, what normally happens is a cool or cold early morning in valleys, as the name implies, and the reason is because a more dense, cooler air sinks and flows down the hillsides, pooling in the valleys. If you want to get a little more technical, remember the denser or heavier, colder air is moving down the mountainside into the valley. It's called a saturation. Well, this actually happens all night long. So this initial fog, or this lighter, shallower fog, is happening in the evening time, and in this process, happening all night long, peaks around daybreak in the morning time. And it is being helped along by the rivers, the streams, the creeks, and even little runoffs down in the valley. Especially when the air temperature falls below the water temperature. The valley fog goes away rather quickly, however, as soon as the sun comes out. Now, this is where the Smoky Mountains actually get their name, and if you've ever seen the Smoky Mountains, they are beautiful, and the Smoky Mountains are actually part of the Appalachian Mountains. The second on the list is rain. I don't think y'all need a description of rain, do you? Number 3 on the list, however, is toxic rain. Now, we know what this is in our world, but I wonder how it would look in the game. Now, what we call toxic rain is normally acid rain or acidic rain. But in Fallout, what would toxic rain be? It would probably be far worse. I did a little research in Hiroshima. About 20 minutes after the bomb dropped in World War II, there was something called black rain that started to fall. It was thick globs with a texture like oil, and if it hit anywhere near heat or flame, it would catch fire. It covered an area of around 12 miles, and it was a thick liquid steeped with radiation 100 times more than the bombs that had just dropped. Could this be the toxic rain that we will see in Fallout 76? The next one on the list is fog, and since I told you how Morning Valley fog works, I won't bore you with fog since they are similar. But I will say that much like Far Harbor, the fog in Fallout 76 will have radiation, obviously. Now, number 5 on the list is one of those cool ones. It is Mountaintop Removal Ash Fire Cool. Did you get that? I'm going to say it again. Mountaintop Removal Ash Fire Cool. Now, at first, I had no clue what this might be. But then I went back to my police investigating skills, and I just slowed down and took it a word at a time. Now, please notice the first words in this. Mountaintop Removal. And then I started thinking about where the game is located. Then I started thinking about the trailer. And then, of course, it's the process of mining that literally destroys the mountaintop or the ridgeline. Don't you remember the huge mining or digging rig that we saw in the trailer? That huge wheel-looking thing? In fact, if you look up Mountaintop Removal in Google, the first several hits that will come up is the Appalachian Mountains. Oh, how cool is that? Well, what does that have to do with a weather system? Well, first, let me say this. They are doing coal mining, right? So what happens when you remove all that rock and dirt? What is left? What is left when you remove the mountaintop? Well, what's the next words in our list? You've got mountaintop removal and then ash fire. Well, if you're in this acidic radiated world, what's going to happen with that exposed coal if anything hits it? It's going to catch fire. You've actually created a man-made volcano. It's almost like that shot in the trailer where the guy's dressed like a fireman and you see the coal burning beside him. Again, this is one of those specific weather systems almost like the glowing sea. Pretty cool, right? Went from not knowing what in the world it was to a pretty cool weather system. Another shot in the trailer I think of is the Snallygaster. Snallygaster, is that how you say it? In front of the Capitol. It looks like maybe on this kind of weather system. And then one of the places on the map is called the Ash Heap. It might just be this kind of weather system. Alright, number 6 is thankfully much easier. It is clear. And y'all don't need a description of that. So number 7 is misty. Now this one could be very cool if they pull it off. I think mist or a misty morning can be the eeriest, creepiest thing. Now I don't know if you can pull it off good in a video game, but it could be perfect in Fallout, especially with all the new creepy creatures. Now number 8 is misty rain, which I'm sure is just a little heavier mist or a little lighter rain. Now number 9 is another new one for the Fallout series. It is called Ash Storm. Now this could be more of what we were talking about previously with the mountaintop removal. It could be more of a man-made volcano, or it could be a real volcano. Now there are no active volcanoes in the Appalachian Mountains, but that is not to say, now that's in our universe, okay? We don't know what's going on in the Fallout universe. And let me add, here in Arkansas, we don't have any active volcanoes either, but yet we have hot springs everywhere. We have a town called Hot Springs. We have a county called Hot Spring. We have volcanoes that are inactive everywhere, and I bet you do too. So just because you may not have lava boiling up doesn't mean you don't have volcanoes just under the surface all the time, okay? This ash storm could be from a real volcano or a man-made volcano. We don't know. Now, I lean to the mining thing because remember, there's a place on the map called the ash heap. So there's a place on the map that this is going to be going on constantly, okay? And when I describe this ash storm, you're going to understand what's going to be going on constantly in this region, okay? So let me describe it and then I'll explain what an ash storm is. Ash storm is obviously ash falling from the sky, but there's more to it than that. Lightning accompanies the ash falling from the sky, and then as it falls down, it accumulates on the ground, but it doesn't accumulate like snow like I thought it would. It starts accumulating in blocks, kind of like rocks. It turns into magma on the ground, and it only lasts for a few seconds to a few minutes, and then it'll start again in a little bit. So it does it in little pockets, okay? It only lasts for a few minutes, and then it'll do it again. So in the ash heap in this area, you're going to be having these ash storms doing this over and over and over, but only lasting a few seconds to a few minutes with the lightning and the ash falling. So a very unique weather system in this area for sure. Number 10 on the list is misty toxic. So kind of like toxic rain, this is a little lighter toxic rain. Again, just wow. Think of how dynamic this weather system can be. Number 11 is just overcast. Number 12 is overcast MTR. Now, I didn't know what this was. There was a lot of them that had this MTR. And I was just going to pass over this thinking it was just a repeat. Didn't know what it was. But never fear, the KingFanMan dug into it again. I just typed in MTR and guess what popped up? Mountaintop Removal. So, overcast, mountaintop removal. Now, that cannot be a coincidence because we've been talking about mountaintop removal. That's that mining process that is so prevalent in the Appalachian Mountains. So, what does that have to do with the overcast? Well, again, it's something with the ash, it's something with the fire. I don't know what that has to do with the overcast, but it's something major with the weather system. I'm going to ask you, have I missed something with this mountaintop removal? Y'all tell me. I want to know. Now, 13, the rad storm comes back. Yes, it's back from Fallout 4, but I'm very curious to see if they've changed the rad storm. Obviously, the graphic system has been enhanced. I want to know, has the color changed? Has it gotten more intense? I wonder what is different with the rad storm in Fallout 76. Alright, we're getting close to the end now. Number 14 is misty, MTR, mountaintop removal. Number 15 is rain, MTR, mountaintop removal. Number 16 is clear, MTR, mountaintop removal. Guys, this is something major in Fallout 76. Again, I want to know, have I missed something, or is it what I'm telling you, it is something huge in Fallout 76? And number 17 is another brand new weather system that you will not see in any other Fallout. It is the last one and a brand new one, and it is called Post-Nuke Blast. Now, you remember that Todd Howard explained that after a nuclear bomb is dropped on a certain area, that it will become a high-level area. Now, of course, that high-level area, that high-level creatures will spawn there. Also, high-level resources will spawn there. But now we know a totally new weather system will spawn there. We now know that much more radiation, much more than even the rad storm we just saw. So, it's not the rad storm's going to be there. None of those other weather systems are going to be there. It's going to be a totally different weather system that's going to spawn there and sit there after the bomb is dropped. Now, it doesn't say how long it's going to sit there, but it's very cool to see that it has its own weather system that will sit there after the bomb drops. So there you go, gals and guys. There are the new and improved weather systems of Fallout 76. And I cannot wait, and I know I say that a lot, but I can't, to get fully immersed in this huge and wonderful world. I do want to thank you, as always, for stopping by the King's Corner, and I do want to encourage you to consider becoming a supporter of this channel. You know, I have 5 wonderful Patreons right now, and you could become one too. Down in the description below of this video, and also on my channel, all the way to the right, in the picture bar, you will find the link to the Patreon page. you could get behind the scene access to the King Fan Man, and you could help keep the content of this channel on YouTube. I need more help, so please go check it out. Also, if you're not a sub yet, why not hit that button before the ash storm buries your house? I am the King Fan Man, and I'll see you next time.